decades and decades and decades in the making, and when I arrived in 2013, I arrived to a fairly difficult situation. So the university was in tough shape back then. And ironically, today the university is actually as strong as it's been in many ways, in terms of the operations, in terms of the performance. The difficulty is the cash position of the institution. And so while we have had incredible performance on student recruitment and student retention, we serve students that come from that have high financial needs to attend college, and so that puts some stress on our student financial aid budget, and so while enrollment goes up, revenue doesn't necessarily follow because it's just costing more to enroll students, and it's just getting more expensive. And I think that's true. That's just not true for Iowa Wesleyan. That's true if you look at, certainly across Iowa, but just the higher education landscape today is, it's a difficult time. When Moody's downgrades the higher education sector from stable to negative in December of 2017, that affects us all. So, so it's a complex set of variables and dynamics, that I think impacting a lot of institutions. Another thing is that, Iowa Wesleyan is really never in its history had a significant financial base. A great example would be just endowment. That's an important measure for an institution in terms of its sustainability. Iowa Wesleyan has an endowment of approximately $8 million, versus other institutions in Iowa that might even be similarly situated that are 80 million, over 100 million, So that impacts what an institution is able to do in times of stress, So those are a few things with that sort of lead to where we are. If there was a pivotal moment for us, I think an important moment in the history of what we did was in October of 2016 when we closed the loan with the USDA. That allowed us to restructure our long-term debt, helped us to reduce our debt service payments, but it also provided some working capital to advance the strategic plan we had in place. Well, about 8 months later, we had a third-party partner to help in our plan that was significant. That third party went out of business, and that was a $2 million hit in revenue for us, which is significant for us. And so, really then over, the last year and a half, we have worked hard and have struggled to recover from that loss, and so that has affected our cash position right now where we are. So those would be, I guess, a few of the variables and circumstances that have kind of led us to where we are right now. So what we're exploring now is what is an alternative or a preferred or optimum future, and that we think is going to require a partner of some sort. So. And
do you have any specific partners in mind that you?
We don't. No, we're just beginning that process and creating a process for how do we invite potential partners in, and how do we begin to vet that. And I think we have some work to do in terms of what would be some of the criteria for a partner. I would say I think now it's about being generative and being creative. So I think all options are on the table. I think it would seem to me that what is really priority or paramount is how do we make sure that we are that we are providing higher education opportunities within the region. So obviously, we have community colleges that are providing important 2-year and technical and vocational experiences, and this is the only 4-year institution in the region, so we're providing undergraduate and graduate certificate and other sort of micro or stackable credentials or micro credentialing, those kinds of things. So how do we make sure all of that remains in the region and is perhaps enhanced? So I'm not sure how all that happens without partnering with an educational institution. Our development and alumni team is just working tirelessly and having some really important, good, and fruitful conversations with people. We announced yesterday publicly a $500,000 cash gift that's unrestricted to help us meet some of those needs and to get us to a point where we have the runway to really identify and secure that alternative future. So I think what's been really interesting to me and really heartening and encouraging is just the response of this news on November 1st by certainly our students, our faculty and staff, who have absolutely been amazing in their response to this. And then the broader community, especially here in Mount Pleasant and in the Burlington area, but clearly in the region, people have really rallied around this cause. And again, that bigger cause of how do we preserve the local economy, the regional economy, and our way of life here by creating a new future for the university. It may look different than what it is today. I imagine it will look a little different, but right now it'd just be speculative in terms of knowing what that would look like. Our brand, I think, is very strong now. It's much stronger today than it was in 2013. I think there is a lot of value there that would be attractive to a partner. So I have confidence that we'll be able to attract a partner that will create something new here in the region. So we felt we had a responsibility to our community, campus and outside community, to keep people informed in real time in terms of the conversation that was happening. And to help and to invite them and to ask them to be part of a solution. And I mean, again, I'm heartened by what that response has been, because I think people have rallied around that and want to be a part of that. I think we'll have a lot more information for you on the 15th and in those days coming after.